It's a good day, a very good day to be looking at some altcoin analysis. We haven't done this in a very long time, and it's a great time because I'm actually recording this the day before to maintain my daily stream. What is record? Yeah, I'm almost on 6 years now. 6 years. Wait, is it 6 years? Yeah. Oh my God, it's going on 6 years. Holy shit, that's amazing. Anyways, I want to bring you over here to the Twitter thread that I did post, and maybe we'll make like a weekly thing of this because it seems like there is a shit ton of interest in this, which is interesting. I guess people just love their altcoins. Fair enough. And, you know, I'll pick like 3 or 4 of the most highly requested ones or the ones that I just see the most often. In this case, we are seeing that Cardano, Avalanche, AVAX, maybe shouldn't say that on YouTube, and Link and symbol PYR, Vulcan Forge, which actually I've never really heard of before, were the most requested ones. So I've gone through an analysis on all of these, just looking at some of the stats ranges, just looking at some of the Oracle reads on them, and just looking at, you know, more long-term analysis as well. So if this, you know, if this is, you know, highly requested as far as the topic goes, then we'll continue doing this video, this series, probably weekly. Anyways, let's jump on over here to Cardano, first one. And in this case, Cardano on the monthly, many things to be aware of right now. You know, just like most of the market, it is putting in a macro low. It's certainly a laggard with in comparison to the rest of the market, but we see a lot of good things here on the higher term time frame scale, like the monthly. So first and foremost, monthly still maintains on that hidden bullish divergence. And of course, we do see a monthly higher low right here, ever so slightly higher than what we did see back on over in January of 2023. That's accompanied by some of the lowest volatility reads that this one's ever seen. And that is what you do expect to see on your macro reversals. Low volatility, especially on the lows. That's a really, really good sign for a macro low, especially as the monthly jewel starts to curl around, maybe even get a positive signal here as it is starting to bounce, which would actually also be another divergence. And supported by DMI. Moving on to the next chart, we do see that Cardano on the daily time frame, however, so we're looking at vastly different time frames now, is starting to look a little bit short-term toppy. Of course, has been trading above the top side of the 50% of historic returns range highs for like nearly 2 weeks. So yeah, about 2 weeks now. So for quite some time. And now popping back into that region. So I would be taking that as a signal of likely consolidation. You know, looking at the weekly back and over here, even we can see that it is kind of stuck around that weekly 55 exponential moving average. So long term, you know, on the monthly, do I think that things generally float back up somewhere around the 382? Likely yes. That's where the big test is. If you're like one of those amazing, amazing Cardano bulls, like maybe your Twitter handle is like Herpety Derp Cardano ADA or ADA lover or ADA warrior. Yes, that's right. You're ADA warrior. You're a strong man or woman, and you fight for the noble cause of the Cardanos, which oddly sounds like Kardashians, I guess. But yeah, that's the area that I'd be waiting for. That's where you see this thing kind of start to join the rest of the crypto rally, and it can move extremely fast and after that towards a buck actually. But until then, you know, it is a laggard within the context of this market, and I would be expecting this one to generally kind of float sideways and up from here on the higher term timeframes. But again, the relatively lower term timeframes like the daily and weekly probably going to be entering into a bit of a sideways consolidation here in the more proximal future, let's say. But yeah, anyways, moving on over here into the Oracle, we did see several signals on this one on the run up. This one traded at quite, yeah, I'd say quite well. Buying around the lows, selling around, you know, the local highs, not bad, and then getting back in on the trending movements. I should say that there was a strong 4-hour signal over here. This was on Wednesday the 8th, and you know, things are still kind of floating up from there, but we can see that no longer it has that nice green color, meaning that it is starting to lose its current trend. So if it starts to really falter here, you know, maybe comes back down below, let's say about 36 cents, that would be a good signal that this one is going to be a wash as far as a trade goes. But until then, it's actually still saying, you know, probably continues a little bit more to the upside. I'd expect that it does something like this, you know, in the short term, blah, 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 consolidates a little bit lower and then tries higher later, maybe in December. I think it's probably done mostly for the month of November, you know, maybe one more try around the end of the month. But I suspect that it's going to go into a bit of a sideways consolidation in the next week or so. So I think that takes care of. Yeah, I think that takes care of Cardano right there. Let's move on into Link now. This one I'm also quite familiar with. This one was back on over in 2017, 2018. Really interesting, actually. And I'll explain many reasons why, or at least what I think are interesting reasons. And it was this. So in 2018, Link was the first mover, kind of in the same way that we've actually seen Solana in this cycle, in kind of a similar way, but is the first mover in the sense that it put in the lows in November of 2018, similar to Bitcoin. But from there, it was straight to the upside all the way through 2021. Really didn't have any major pullbacks. I mean, even on the Rona dump, like that was just this area right here. My point is that once again, Link, is kind of at the forefront of the market. It had a pretty amazing breakout in early October. And, while things, again, probably do find a little bit of a short-term precipice, in the near future, long-term, still one of the better ones, it looks like. But looking at the weekly right here, yeah, looking for consolidation within this region. It's like not super crazy. I'm sure if we throw on a Fibonacci retracement, it's going to be some interesting things. And let's see. Yeah, that'd be right around the 50% retracement. These are just, great areas for a bit of a pullback in this case. That also does imply above about $16.50 on a weekly closure. This thing can really zoom to the upside yet again, getting deep inside the 20s over time. So yeah, let me just reference my notes over here. Okay, yes, we got that. Let's move on into the HPDR. The HPDR is really interesting for this one in the short term, actually. The short term, it does suggest maybe a little bit of a higher probability of a bounce from this region. The reason why I say that is because we're seeing this one come down to the bottom side of the 80% of historic returns range lows, but this is coming on a massive contraction of volatility, and even the HPDRO is having a bit of a resetting factor right there. So I'm looking at this first and foremost as likely to put in a higher low right here, try to trade sideways, and this one probably does trade sideways for a little bit of time overall before, in my opinion, probably trying again to the upside in a similar time frame as Cardano, like later this month / December area. But until then, ranges very, very short term, maybe tries for a bounce there. The hourly time frame has been very active on the Oracle, as you can see. It did close this last strong buy over here relatively recently. So, does this one put in a higher low and it gets another buy signal and then, pops back up to those range highs? Maybe yes. So how was it traded, this one? It's traded it okay. Not great, not terrible on the hourly. Did get some of the good trading moves though, so I think that's what matters most. But yeah, this one, like I said, probably just ranging in the short term, sideways, maybe a little bit of downside overall, and then tries again to the upside later this month / December. With a big area of interest around that 16.5. Anyways, moving on now. What else do we got? Yes. Okay, PYR. So this one's something that I haven't heard of before. It's kind of interesting. Looking at the monthly here, it got very close to a monthly, what I would consider macro breakout. That would be above the 382 level, as you can see, which is about 786. Also in alignment with the May 22 breakdown from last year. Getting back above there would be very significant, and this one could again reach double digits very quickly after that. If and when that does happen, looking at the weekly, does certainly look overextended to me in the short term. I'd be looking for it to kind of at best trade sideways in this range here. Maybe tries a little, stop that bot. Maybe tries a little bit of a short-term upside move back around that 382, but ultimately I'd be looking for it to kind of create a bit of a range. And of course that also comes with the caveat that anything above $5.50 is long-term very, very good for this one. It's just short-term, kind of blown off its top there, especially on extreme volatility. I'm looking for this one to create a bit of a range, consolidate, and then try again to the upside. When? Probably around later this month, if I had to guess. What else do we have over here? Yeah, just looking at the Oracle on the 4-hour. It actually did just flash a fresh buy signal after closing this pretty damn good one from the low to the high of this rally thus far. So fair enough. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that on the short term. Or did we even speak about the short term? This is the short term. Yeah, I didn't really speak about the short term. What about the 4-hour over here? Fair enough. Yeah, probably does make another attempt at this, somewhere around like $7 or so. But ultimately, I think it ranges into the last week of this month. And that's when, moves can actually occur and significant things can probably break. Anyways, moving on now, we can get into AVAX or avalanche, as some people call it. Over here, same thing on the very, very high term timeframes. This one kind of similar in essence to Cardano, not in the sense that it made lower lows in 2023 than Cardano, or because Cardano did not, but this one a laggard in comparison to the rest of the market. So looking at AVAX right here, it is demonstrably weaker than all the other charts that we've seen. I think that this one's actually probably found a high here. I mean, we're seeing extremes on volatility. We're seeing we're seeing an RSI getting all the way up to 90. That doesn't happen too often. Weekly, long term, still good above $16, but definitely weaker than all the other charts. So, it's like when you have the choice between different things, this one is likely not going to perform as good. I suspect it's just, I think a lot of people wanted to look at this one because more recently it had this pretty explosive move last week where it did put in, from bottom to top a 66% dildo right there, which is really impressive. Absolutely. But I don't think that that's, I don't look at that as like a good sign right now. It's in a different place in comparative to all the other ones. The strong ones are above their 382 or even their 50% retracement. This one is above nothing. I don't think I didn't even bother plotting one of these. Yeah, it's above nothing. So where is the long-term big area to be aware of? 382 right here at 2577. Anything below there is just uninteresting as far as a long-term macro breakout goes. Long-term, do I think that this thing does generally join the rest of the market? Probably yes. But it's unlikely to be as strong. Moving over here, we can see the daily HPDR bands. This one on that last move got all the way up to the 95% of historic returns high. It's very unlikely to continue from this exact region. It's a lot more likely to trade sideways at best, and probably a little bit of downside if we're being a little bit more reasonable, something like that. If I could do something like that and remain above, especially $14-15, that's going to look really, really good long term. But I suspect that at best this one goes sideways for a little bit of time. What I'm trying to say is that this current run is done, and it's ready for a bit of a rest there. Looking at the Oracle over here, it did actually trade that last move. Yeah, I'd actually say pretty damn well as well. But it is kind of calling a potential high right here. So that's a signal of like, all right, you might want to take some profit there. Especially if you bought down around here, like be reasonable. That's $14.50 all the way up to, where did that closing signal come? 19, it's 31.5% move. Yeah, okay, maybe be reasonable. I don't know. But this is not financial advice. I'm not financial advisor. That's just my opinion. That's just my view. Or it's not even my view. It's the opinion of this indicator right here. Anyways, more likely to pull back in the short term. I think this one has a daily pullback and consolidation as well. The question is, does it crack below about $14.50 or not? Does it? If it does that, okay, big fucking problems. If it doesn't, then I generally look at it as, it's going to follow the rest of the market, just slower, not as interesting, and in long term, not that great as long as it's below the 382 here. Above there, I can really zoom quite quickly up to $50 or so. But for right now, just there are better things, I think, comparatively speaking. So I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular video. Spoke about a lot of things here, spoke about a lot of indicators. I know I'll get some questions about this. Of course, you can get the, you actually can't get the HPDR bands just yet. Still waiting about a few days, and then I think we can release it. It's going to come with a suite of other things, which is actually really fucking cool because, well, you're going to get the HPDRO and the HPDRV, but there'll be more information on that when the time comes. Of course, we spoke a lot about the Oracle Pro over here as well. That's the chart prime package that you do see in the description below. You can try it for free for 14 days, and to be fair, I wish I had a way of automating back testing on this one, because right now I don't, unfortunately. But from what I've seen thus far, like it actually performs okay. Actually performs pretty decently, especially getting these more longer term moves. Seems to kind of just tread its wheels when markets are sideways, maybe slight gains, and then when markets trend, this thing is actually quite good. Anyways, yeah, you can get that on 14-day free trial, whatever the hell. Comes with a bunch of other things as well, even the Jewel Light. And I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off on this nice video. Let me know what you think. If you like this type of video, if you want to see more of these, and we can make it like a weekly thing. So I'll end things right there. I'll also end my life after looking at some of these shitty charts. No, just kidding. Most of them were actually, good long-term, short-term, no topping. So we'll leave things right there. Come back at it tomorrow. And with that said, take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.